Friends in Recovery, the Addiction Recovery Podcast, is brought to you by the Friends in Recovery community, a thriving network of individuals who are fighting back against the stigma of addiction. Join our hosts as they speak up about the real issues of addiction, treatment, and recovery. Friends in Recovery, the Addiction Recovery Podcast, is available on Facebook, Podbean, iTunes, and YouTube 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Now, here are your friends in recovery.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Friends in Recovery Podcast. I'm your host, Jersey Ed, along with my co-host, Tiffany, and Bambi B as our special co-host today. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone.
Hello. Tiff, where are you? That is not a virtual background.
No, it is not a virtual background. Right now, I am at a car show. It's the biggest in Minnesota. It's a very big deal. And it's called, oh my gosh, now I'm having a blank, of course. Well, I'll come back to it. But anyway, it's awesome. It's called Street Machine Nationals. And
nice.
We have we have a, let's see, a CUDA here, a Barracuda, a Dodge Challenger. We have an Aston Martin, a Ferrari, two customs. One's a Studebaker, one's a Ford F1 1948.
Wow.
And many other cars here, like about 5 more. So we're pushing iron here.
Nice. And
talking to a lot of people.
That's it. You know, guys, I'm not going to wait, till our sober shout outs, because this requires some special attention right now. I want to wish Tiffany a happy 3-year anniversary. Okay. And I will wish her another happy 3-year anniversary on the sober shout outs, but we got to get it in right away, because Tiffany is a huge part of Friends in Recovery, a huge part of the show. And, this whole community learned a lot from Tiffany, and Tiffany learned a lot from this whole community, but we have to recognize it. And Tiff, I'm blessed to have you on the show. The listeners are blessed. The knowledge that you've taken in for the last 3 years of your life, it's just amazing. So congratulations, Tiff. We love you. And let's hope there's another 33 years beyond that too. So
absolutely.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
This show has been a big part of my recovery, not just Friends in Recovery, which saved my life back during the COVID shutdown of everything, when I was just getting involved in my sober community and then couldn't go anymore. And I'm so thankful for this podcast, because that's what led me to everything and saved my life.
Yeah.
Made such a difference. I learned from everybody every day. And especially this year, where we in depth have gone through each step. It's been such an awesome process. So I'm so excited to be here and happy and thankful and all sorts of different words.
Thanks, Tiff. Thanks. And
Wonderful.
Bambi, of course, Bambi's been co-hosting. We are I shouldn't say probably, we're going to bring Bambi on full time for our co-hosting, because she's just been doing an amazing job. And Tiff and I spoke about it. And here's the great thing about this, right, guys? And we all only have one day at a time here. But I have some years up there. Tiffany's kind of in the middle, and Bambi is a newcomer. I mean, she has 6 months this month. So
and she was a raving fan, like I was,
yes.
right?
Yes.
So
my God.
Fans.
Yeah.
Can you imagine, like, Bambi, how different is your recovery since you went to Genesis House and are in Friends in Recovery now and so involved in the community? I know that service that I did in the beginning saved my life, and we're really, really happy to have you here from your perspective. So,
oh my gosh, when you and Ed, actually, the two of you came to Genesis House and promoted us, the Friends in Recovery. I didn't ever work the steps. I didn't work a program, and you guys truly have saved my life. I mean, being connected with this community is key. If anyone is listening to this and hasn't connected with Friends in Recovery, I'm telling you, that is the key to maintaining sobriety and really developing some deep friendships and loves and connections. It's amazing.
Absolutely.
It's incredible, right?
Incredible.
Like I swore to myself that I would never be a part of a community. I would never do the steps. I said that, right? And, you know,
It's a
lo
cult.
and behold,
AA
here
is
we
a
It
are.
is a cult. I told you last week, Ed, that my
Yeah.
brother came on just because of this weird thing, and I talk about this Ed and Tiffany and all these people, and he wanted to see that. Okay, who is this cult leader here that's got my sister brainwashed? You know, but brainwashed in an amazing way.
Yeah,
So.
exactly. So, but so let's we'll talk a little bit more about step 7 in a minute, and this is kind of a segue into it. Maybe not. I don't know. I just figured I'd throw that in there. But I do want to say that, you know, Friends in Recovery saved a lot of lives, including mine too, because of the pandemic. And here's the thing, now, guys. I'm trying. Tiff, you missed the last show because of some technical stuff. Really, her dog ran away.
Well,
that's what
the
it
dog
was.
ran
But
away in the middle, like right as I was getting on the show.
Yes, exactly. So that's why Tiff was not on last week, but she's here this week. But you know, one thing we neglected to do is to give it a phone number. So I'm giving out my personal cell phone number now. And if you want to talk, if you want to reach out, if you want to ask questions, if you have questions about recovery, if you want to get into recovery, if you want to treat, whatever it is, if you want to talk about Friends in Recovery, call me 215-694-1994. And Carl put
I'll
it up
give out
here.
my personal one too.
There you go. Go ahead.
Because that's how I contacted. I wanted to make sure that this Friends in Recovery podcast and all this stuff was real.
Yep.
And I called that Ed's phone number and I hung up on him when he answered. Anyway.
She did.
And then I did 4 other steps of verification because I don't trust people because I'm an addict, right?
That's it.
And a product of my environment. But my phone number is 952-688-1092. If anybody wants to talk about Friends Recovery or recovery in general or needs help, whatever you want to talk about.
Yeah. And they'll appear on the screen.
You can talk about recovery, just call.
That's it. Just call. Whatever it is. You want to say hello, just call. Now you got connection to 2 people. They'll go in the show notes. You'll see them in the show notes also, if you couldn't write this down quick enough. I do want to I like to thank all of our donors who made this show possible. We are on a donation basis. We're donation based now. So if you would like to make a donation, please Venmo us at Friends in Recovery Enterprises, and you go under business. You search under business, and it'll come up. Whatever you feel in your heart to donate, we appreciate it, because this is solely running on donations now, nothing else. So
dollar. I don't care.
And yeah, send $1. 1,000 people send $1.
I did that when I could afford only $1 or $5. That's what I did.
Yep, exactly. And one other thing, Friends in Recovery is now part of the Fire Network. Carl could put that little Fire Network thing up right here. And the Fire Network is a group of podcasts that come under one umbrella, under the Fire Network. And we're starting to collect more and more people. And once the website is up and running, that's where the Fire Network will live. And we recommend you to go to our Facebook page, our website, and get the Fire Network and listen to other podcasts. SoberPod is part of our Fire Network now. Carl and myself put this Fire Network together, and we are running with it, and it's taking off. We have more and more people getting on the Fire Network. So if you would like any more information, please email me at help at friendsinrecoverypodcast.com or info@soberpod.com. And one of us will get back to you. If you have a podcast and you want to get on the Fire Network, please join us. That would be great. One other thing before I turn the show over to Tip about all of our meetings and everything. We're coming up with our ROAR trip, August 26th to the 28th. If you guys remember last year, ROAR stands for Recovery on a Raft. Last year, we did a 72-mile kayak trip. A bunch of people in recovery, 4 of us in recovery. It was a 5-day trek down the Delaware River. All self-supported. We had to bring our own food, our own water, everything. And we sustained ourselves for 5 days on the Delaware. And it was a wonderful trip. This year, we're going to shorten it down to about 50 miles, and it's going to be August 26th through the 28th. I will be sending out
the 28th.
26th through the 28th of August. I will be sending out Facebook Live stuff on here and all that. So I'll keep you updated. It's going to be a 50-mile trip. So everybody, there's about 5 or 6 of us going right now. Everybody in recovery. So I'll give you an update on all that. This week's topic is getting personal, guys. Step 7. So stay tuned for some amazing recovery. I know we spoke a lot before. Now we're going to get into step 7 very soon, and we're going to get personal. But there's a lot of stuff that we have to get out there to you guys. The literature, Bambi's going to be using the 12-step, a spiritual journey. Tiff is using her personal experience. And I'm going to definitely use the daily reflections, the 12 and 12, and maybe the life recovery workbook. And I also have been reading this book called A Better Way to Think. Norman Wright wrote it. It's a really good book, and it's not a recovery book, but it pertains a lot to the 12 steps. So while you're trying to dig up your literature, we're going to go through some shout outs. Tiff with 3 years. That's my shout out. Bambi, I know you got a lot. Congratulations, Tiff, again. I know, Bambi, you got a lot of shout outs. What do you have?
I've got Jimmy H is 6 months this month, and wow. Felicia G is 6 months this month. So also we have a 1-monther that is really been a friend in recovery, Cindy C. So she's got a month this month. So
all right. And Tiff, do you have any?
I just wanted to give a sober shout out, of course, to Street Machine Nationals, and of course to Carvici for, we have some up and coming stuff for connected with Friends in Recovery, and they're promoting us on the main stage today. And on top of that, I think there might be something in the near future about a car giveaway or something. I'm not sure.
All right. Well, we'll stay tuned for that. So one other thing too, guys, is Bambi and I experienced something really amazing the other night on a meeting, right?
Absolutely.
So there's this guy with this accent, and some of you earlier listeners might know Chris Cudahy. He didn't have an accent like Chris. He had this South African accent, right? And his name was Harold, and he said he was from Friends in Recovery. I'm like, what? We're all like scratching, like, what is going on here? So apparently, just to let everybody know, and I told Harold we would talk about it, that there's a Friends in Recovery SA South Africa group, right? Africa. Yep. And somehow our times for Friends in Recovery meetings and their times got mixed up. So God moment or coincidence, I don't know, you call it what you want. Harold came on to one of our meetings and we just made a great friend. And it was just amazing, right? So I want to give a shout out to Harold, and please go look on the AA website for Friends in Recovery SA South Africa and attend their meetings. I will be speaking on their meeting. I'll get the date and we'll put it in the show notes. The last Saturday
of this month.
The last Saturday this month. Okay.
Yes.
All right. 4 o'clock. At 4 o'clock. So we'll have the link in the show notes, guys. Bambi, make sure we'll get those links and put it in the show notes. So you guys can see, stop by and listen and whatever. So just a big shout out to Friends in Recovery South Africa. Harold and everybody else.
He was a great guy, and he thought that we were a scam. He said, I came on this meeting because I thought you guys were up to skullduggery, he said.
Oh my God. But we actually stayed on almost 2 hours after the meeting talking to him. He was a great guy. Him and I forgot the other woman's name. She texted me. What was her name? Janet?
Was it Trish?
Trish. Maybe it was Trish. Yes.
Yeah.
But a shout out to everybody over there. Tiff, speaking of meetings, what do you have for the United States Friends in Recovery meetings?
The United States Friends in Recovery meetings are held at noon and 7 p.m. daily. You can find us on the, of course, AA Intergroup website, or you can join us and follow us on all of our social media platforms. Don't forget us on Facebook community. And that really will help you be in the loop for all meetings, all activities, all adventures, all the things that you need to know. So join us and follow us there, like us. We're, of course, on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, all of those other social media platforms. And I've heard that friendsinrecoverycommunity.org is going to be up and running. So you will be able to find those on there shortly as well. So I'm so excited. Yay.
Absolutely. A new place
Back
to
the
live.
newsroom, Ed. Back to the library. Ed.
Back to the library. That's right. I'm coming from the library. I was studying step 7 today, so I figured I'd sit in the library today instead of the podcast studio.
What is step 7 again?
Step 7. Before I get into step 7, I do want to ask the question of the week, guys. I do want to ask the question of the week. So listen, there's only so much you can talk about step 7, step 6. We have to fill this show with other things. All right, guys. So no, I'm just kidding. We can probably go on a whole month every day talking about the steps. But I do want to ask the question of the week. And here it is.
Question of the week.
There. Okay. What brand toothpaste and flavor do you use, ladies? What brand toothpaste and flavor do you use? I figure we just get that out there just to find out, because that's kind of personal, man. Like that's like something we do in our bathroom behind closed doors, right? And that's about as personal as that we're going to get at this point. So, but I'm always fascinated to hear what kind of like toothpaste people use, because I'm always kind of trying to, it's like recovery. Am I doing the right thing? Am I using the right toothpaste? Right? Am I getting complacent with my toothpaste? Seriously, this is the shit I think. All right. So, Tiff, what kind of toothpaste do you use, and what brand toothpaste do you use, and what flavor?
Well, first of all, that would require me to brush my teeth. I told you I don't do that. Just kidding. I spent a lot of money on this Smile as an adult, so I take care of my teeth. But actually, you know what I found? And this is kind of interesting. I was over brushing my teeth, and I didn't know, like, the older you get, and of course, the more drugs you use, it damages your gums and your body. But anyway, I used Crest Pro Health. It's white meat. It's recommended by the dentist. It takes care of your gums. It's the best toothpaste I've ever found. They have many different flavors. I like the mint, but it has whitening. Pro Health is good for your gums. It's good for everything. So if you're old like me and have like receding gums, I need you to take care of your oral health, which is very important. I found out for your heart and all sorts of different things. Use Crest Pro Health.
All right. Crest Pro Health. Tiff is a Crest Pro Health girl. How about you, Bambi? What brand toothpaste?
Well, I agree. It has to be Crest. It has to be a Crest, and it can only be cinnamon. So the cinnamon whitening.
Wow.
That is my go-to.
Wow.
Gotta have cinnamon.
Cinnamon. I never heard of cinnamon.
Cinnamon, yes. I used to use that when I was a kid. Cinnamon.
I am not a cinnamon guy. I don't like cinnamon. I don't like cinnamon in my anything. I'm not a cinnamon guy. I can't even handle it. I'm not a fan of like Thanksgiving, because that cinnamon crap comes out. It smells. Oh God. Anyway,
you're missing out, Ed.
I know. So two Crest people, right? So Felicia says Colgate all my life. Felicia P. Colgate all my life. In Facebook, she says, never a Crest girl. Ooh, all right, going against the grain there. I like that.
Felicia's on. She just joined. She probably missed her sober shout out for the month. So we did give a shout out to Felicia for her
absolutely
6 months.
Absolutely. Congratulations, Felicia. And you guys asked.
Congratulations, Felicia.
Did you ask what does Jersey Ed use?
What does Jersey Ed use?
Well, thanks for asking, guys. My brand is Tom's of Maine, the Freshman Rapid Relief Sensitive, right? So for the longest time, like my grandfather used to use some smelly, disgusting toothpaste. Like I used to walk in the bathroom and it always said sensitive on it. I'm like, fuck, he's old. He's,
Sensodyne.
Sensodyne, something like whatever it was, right?
Definitely.
But I forgot what it was. But anyways, so for the last at least 15 years, guys, I've been using a sensitive toothpaste. It was because I used to curse my grandfather in that bathroom when I used to go in, right? But I do have sensitive teeth, so I have to use.
Is this the same grandfather that found your glasses that you had hid in the garage?
Yes. I love my grandfather. Matter of fact, I got a tattoo of them right here, Nanny and Pop. They're near and dear to my heart. So
amazing.
Yeah. So, but all right. So guys, let's if anybody in Facebook Live, if you guys want to put your favorite toothpaste in there, we'll read it. But let's get on to step 7. Step 7 has absolutely nothing to do with toothpaste. Okay. Well, it might, because when you take care of yourself, you brush your teeth. When you use, I usually found out I didn't brush my teeth. So, and Tip, you're right. Taking, oral hygiene has a lot to do with keeping your body in really good shape, your stomach, your everything. I mean, even just bad breath.
Especially when you're pregnant. Did you know that too?
No.
They want you to go to the dentist extra times during pregnancy.
Really?
Yes.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, because your germs in your mouth, you're putting this food in your mouth. I'll put a piece of paper on your mouth, and it's like, where's that paper been? I don't know, right? Who knows? So, but step 7, humbly asked him to remove our shortcomings, and we've been talking about that. Last week we had a clinical look at it. And we kind of really went pretty deep into it as far as the clinical piece goes. So this week, we're going to talk about just the personal piece. And if you guys want to chime in on Facebook Live, please let us know what you do, how you do it, when you do it, where you do it, and why you do it. So humbly ask him to remove our shortcomings, guys. I get on my knees every morning and I ask God, I pick out one of my shortcomings or my character defects or my flaws or whatever it is. And the one that I know has been acting up daily, right? Or maybe that day or whatever. And I ask God just to remove it, right? Just to remove it. And it's usually fear or perfectionism. Tiff, you and I have these, we share these same traits along with probably 10 million other people. But it is my biggest character defect, or my shortcoming is fear and perfectionism, right? And I have to get on my knees every morning. And does it go away? Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. But it relieves it for the moment. Number one, if I can get 2 minutes of relief for it, that's progress, right? And if I can remember how I got those 2 minutes of relief by praying, maybe during the day, I'll stop and say a quick prayer. I know, God, I know I should be thinking this, or I know, maybe I should be thinking differently, or whatever the main thing is, whatever the thing is, the shortcomings, I ask him to remove. And here's the thing that I noticed about shortcomings, ladies, and please, kind of let me know what you guys think about this. Most of my shortcomings start in my fucking head, between my ears. Right?
Oh yeah, definitely.
And
definitely.
And then I just project them out into everybody that walks past me. And it's not fair, because it starts in my head. It doesn't belong in my head. It shouldn't be in my head. But then I project them onto people, people, places, and things. And then I get anxiety. I get crazy. I get, whatever it is. So that's my little bit of personal kind of touch.
I need to jump in there about your personal stuff.
Sure.
Because you and I are pretty connected and know a lot about our shortcomings, because we share them a lot. Some are similar, some are not. But here's the nice thing about being part of a community like this, and when you have personal connections. When I see these creep up in Ed, I have the ability to say, Ed, put that aside. That's a shortcoming, right? So you do not need to be insecure. You need to feel good about yourself, right? Yep. You are very great, and all these positive things, because you have a lot of self-doubt sometimes and some insecurities. I also have fear of disappointing people. Because of how I was raised by addicts and alcoholics, I don't want to disappoint anyone. That would be like the biggest, I just can't stand it. And when I feel, I'll call Chris through today. Are you sure I'm doing a good job? Are you sure that do you think I did this right? Because I'm constantly afraid of disappointing somebody. That would be so terrible. I want everything to go great. But the more I pray about it, again, I ask for this every morning, is as one of the things that I pray about too in the morning. But when they creep up during the day, I am able now to put a stop to them, do a quick prayer, talk about it, work through it, call Ed, do whatever. And he calls it out on me because he knows I don't trust people. That's my other biggest thing. I do not trust. And I've had to work on that and work on it and work on it. I still do. And, it's been so liberating having these connections and working on these steps. I don't have to carry all this crap and this weight anymore. I can get through it, talk to somebody about it, and just continue to ask God to help me take that away. And if I notice new ones, I do that too. I don't have to carry the crap anymore. That's what it is. It's fucking crap, guys. That's all it is. It's shit in our brain that shouldn't be there.
and we have to get rid of it. And that's where it starts. Then it manifests into different pieces in our life, and then it complicates shit. But think about it. It starts in our brain. And like Tiffany said, and baby, I'll let you get, you can answer that you can answer the question next. But like Tiffany says, she calls me out on it immediately, so it doesn't go further. And that's what friends in recovery do. We help each other out, stop it. And sometimes I'm like, who the fuck are you to tell me to fucking stop it? Right? Like that's in my brain. But that's another character defect. Yeah. That's another shortcoming. But then I got to stop and say, you know what? She's looking out for my best interest. Mm-hmm. And I got to stop that crap. You know what I mean? And I stop it, and then I just let it go. No resentments, no nothing. But you gotta really work these steps to understand if somebody like Tiffany comes at you and says, checks you on your shit. You know what I mean? So Bambi, I know you're only 6 months into this. How would you feel if somebody came up to you and said that? I knew you have really good recovery, but how would you feel in 6 months into this? Would you be hurt? Would you be, kind of like what's your feelings on this?
It just happened to me. And again, it's all these connections, and Tiff has this connection through Friends in Recovery with you. I mean, it's the connections that we form that help us through that. And I know my sponsor, just the other day, I was so angry, and I was telling her how wonderful I was doing with this and that. And she just kind of put me in my spot and said, but what are you doing? And don't you see that you're being controlling? And don't you see that that's one of your biggest character defects, and you're doing it again? But I'm saying, but I'm using I statements. She said, well, you're being assertive, but you're still being damn controlling. So yeah. But it's the connections that you form, so people can point those out to you that are so very important.
Exactly. I don't know if you're at this point yet, Bambi, and maybe why I see it. I know you have a great relationship and a supportive spouse. I know Ed does too, and I do as well. Yeah. And they've learned so much through this process, and working together. But having that close support person works too. It is different. Now, my husband is a normie, just like Ed's wife is a normie. And so they don't understand a lot. So there's those certain pieces. I can't just solely rely on him. But I like that it has furthered our relationship. It's helped us understand each other better. We've both grown through this entire process. We just talked yesterday. Chris was like, I can't believe how much our life has changed in 3 years because of this and because of these steps. And especially this one. Oh
yeah. Yeah. Well, this can make or break your recovery at this point. If you think about it, all that hard work that you did up until this point, if you can't get over your shortcomings or stop your character defects or bring them down a notch or two, or here it is, just get humble. If you can't get humble at this point, I'm not saying you're going to drink, but you're going to have a pretty fucking miserable life from this point on, and humbling yourself. It says, I want to read on July 12th. It's on page 202 of the Daily Reflections. It's giving up center stage, and underneath it says, why do I balk at the word humility? I am not humbling myself towards other people, but towards God, as I understand him. Humility means to show submissive respect, and by being humble, I realize I am not the center of the universe. Right? I am not the center of the universe, and I think I read that on last week's show too. But it stands out to me, and maybe I didn't, but it stands out to me hugely, because if I don't humble myself, I'm just going to be that miserable. We call it dry drunk, right? You guys know what that term is, right. Dry drunk. And that's what I'm going to be. I'm going to be a dry drunk. And are there times that I should, it's probably a dry drunk at times? Yeah, absolutely. Because I wasn't working a program, or I wasn't going to meetings, or I wasn't talking to my sponsor. I was being an asshole. I think you become an asshole first, right? That's the fucking warning sign. Asshole, 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 and then dry drunk, right? and then you go and you end up relapsing. But thank God I didn't get down all the way down the road. But we got to be careful, guys. If we don't humble ourselves, if we don't take this step 7 seriously, I think, my sponsor always tells me, Eddie, step 6 and 7 are the most 2 important steps. I mean, obviously every step is important, but if you have to get these down, you have to be humble. You have to learn how to be okay with somebody telling you're right, somebody telling you're wrong,
I
all
never
those.
thought I was self-centered either.
Oh,
I
I
didn't
know.
when I was drinking. I thought I was so helpful,
Oh
right?
yeah.
I didn't think of anybody
Absolutely.
else. I didn't think of myself. I always was everybody else, but it wasn't. It was all about me.
Mhm.
And I like what you say, and like what Andy says. I don't have to show up at every conversation.
Yep.
I don't have to.
Yes.
And it has made me develop as a human with my listening skills, able to understand people, and people can relate to me, and they actually like me more. You know?
Yes.
I just love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
And so Kathy here says, Camden Kathy says, ego is the opposite of humility, right? That is so true. Thank you for saying that, Kathy, because when first of all, ego edging got out, that's it's all about me. The world revolves around me. I can remember the first time that somebody really humbled me. Right. And I told this story plenty of times on the show, is when I was in that 7 p.m. meeting in South River, New Jersey at the Fog Lifters. And for a year, I've always said, my wife, I want my wife back. I want my wife back. Right. So finally, the old timer that was there got sick of it. And it was a beginner's meeting. And he said, Ed, she's not coming back. Shut the fuck up and let's move on. Right. And I hated that guy. I really did. And then when I got out of the meeting, I realized that guy loved me enough to tell me that. Right. But it was my ego, my pride, my thinking. Right. My thinking. What did I say earlier? It's my thinking where it starts. Right.
Always.
And then I had to really stop and say, you know what? That guy's right. And I tell you what, the healing that I had from that moment on, when I understood about humility and being humbled, saying, okay, I shouldn't be talking like this anymore. This gentleman just kind of called me out on it. The healing went off the charts for me.
Did you notice it right away there, or did it take days or years? Or
no, immediately. You know how I noticed it, Tiff? I noticed it because I thought the guy was a jerk off.
Yeah.
Right. I thought he was a jerk off, just like you. When you put me in my place, fuck her. But you know what? I don't say that. I don't, but that's it. Oh, you get that feeling, right? Fuck her or jerk off. He's an idiot. But there's a reason why your body's telling you that and your mind's telling you that and you're reacting to that.
Yes.
Because you're not humble. Maybe you're not humbling yourself, or maybe you're not listening, or maybe you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. And that's when humility steps in.
Well, and we're pretty raw with each other. You make these connections. Ed and I are close enough that I can even say to him, fuck off, Ed, you're doing something. Don't do this.
You're pissing me to fuck off.
Get very passionate and on the phone and loud, right?
Yeah.
And other people around us hearing that maybe would think something real bad, like that we were fighting and we're not. We're not. Like, this is like, we know, but we've had to open those lines of communication and say, we can talk to each other, and we've even had to tell our spouses, when you hear us like this, right? It's because that's how we thrive, and we're working off of each other and helping each other grow. We're not mad or angry. Yeah. But from the outside perspective, if you don't explain that, or if we do that in public, which we have done, people can get scared.
Oh yeah.
But, be open and honest and self-aware, and aware of your surroundings. So
well, that's the part where you have to be humble, and you have to understand that it's not coming from a place of hurt. It's coming from a place of love. And that's the important part of it. Yes. And sometimes I get butt hurt and I walk away. Like, it takes me sometimes a little bit longer to heal. And that's not just with you, Tiff. That's with my wife. That's with everything, and maybe even work or, I remember, and I shared this in the past, I remember, guys, that up until about age 12, 13, 11, maybe somewhere around there, I thought I was right at everything I said, everything I did. And then I started hearing people saying, you're wrong. This isn't right. That isn't right. I'm like, what the fuck? Really? Like, really? I'm like, this is crazy.
I'm always right.
Yeah, always right. I read a crazy statistic the other day. All right. By the time we're, I think 7 or 8, we heard the word no over 200,000 times in our life. Is that crazy? Right? Is that crazy? But we think we're right. Like, and that's that age.
How many kids I have? That means I've said no so many times.
I know.
You're good at that word.
I know. But that word humbles us. Sometimes can set us back a little bit. Somehow, that word no. Like, it doesn't mean it I was just thinking about this yesterday when I was reading this about the show. No is a hurtful word. Mommy, can I have ice cream? No.
No.
Well, why? Because you just had candy. We sometimes you can't process that, and that's when humility has to come in. Not at that age, but we have to understand that.
But I do recognize. I'm so interesting you brought this up, because the kids don't like to hear that. I don't like to hear that.
No.
So
no one does.
A lot of automatic responses, no. And then you're like, why did I say that? Right.
Yeah.
So I now have tried to not say no. I say, yes, that's a possibility. Right. How about if we make a plan or set a time, things like that, more of a discussion, because I'm trying not to use that word, because you're right. It is negative. It is hurtful.
It is very negative.
I don't like it.
Yeah. And it could hurt.
Yeah. That's very progressive thinking.
Yeah. And it could hurt, especially a young kid, even me, hey, you want to go out to dinner tonight? No. What do you mean no? So that's where the humility, the humbling has to come in and say, okay, well, why, honey? Why don't you want to go out to dinner tonight? Well, I don't feel good. Oh, well, that's a good reason to say no, right? That's a good reason to say no. And just because we get butthurt or somebody says no to us or rejects us, there might be a reason behind it. And again, that's that humility. And we may not ever find out the reason, guys, right? We may not find the reason out why, why.
Here's the flip side of that. Through this process, before the steps, before sobriety, I didn't, like I just told you, I don't like to disappoint people. So I didn't say no to a lot of things I should have, because I just wanted to be a people pleaser. I didn't want to rock the boat. Right. I didn't want to do anything. Right. Yep. And now, other than using that word, I've learned through this step to set healthy boundaries. Right. And also the self-awareness of my communication now. I'm able to deliver that message differently than just a hard no. Right. But if I have to do that, trust me, if you're going to in any way, shape or form affect me, my family, or my sobriety, there's going to be a hard ass no.
Of course. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I mean, there are boundaries we have to set, there are definitely boundaries that we have to set as far as that goes. Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you with that. But we also have to think these things through. And also when the no is being said to us, we have to understand it too. So I see Chris there. What's up, Chris?
He wants to chime in.
Hey, Chris, what's going on?
About saying no.
A lot of times, I paid, my life changed because she said no to me when she started doing her recovery. So it was it was a challenge for me because I had my own way. She is a people pleaser, and it was a really hard change. From whatever I asked she did to no, I'm going to take some self-worth here. And it was like, yes. And it was like, no, I'm not putting you first. I sometimes had to put myself first. Yeah. And it was like noticeable, like in one day. So
and that's coming
some insight on that.
And that's coming from the loved one. Like Chris is the loved one, just, and sometimes, but Chris, we were talking about how it's, how saying no is saying yes sometimes to ourselves. That's number one. Number two, that we have to respect when they say no, and we have to understand they're taking care of it. We're taking care of ourselves sometimes. So how does that make you feel from the opposite end of things when, say, Tiffany's taking care of herself, instead of people pleasing you, and instead of maybe doing your laundry or filling out the paper, whatever it is, what does that work? How does that feel? And how do you work through that? If we can ask from a normie.
So at first, like I said, it was a hard change because I was able to focus on anything I had to do, and she picked up the slack for me in every single aspect of my life. Yeah. And at first it was a hard adjustment, but then I really valued her always and do to this day. And it was really huge for me to start watching her value herself. You know what I mean? But it did take me a while to adjust to that change in not having anything I asked for done right away. I was pretty spoiled. I still am, but it was almost like unhealthy spoiled before. Do
you respect her more because of that now, Chris?
Definitely.
Good.
I still would have certain days I'd take the old she'll do anything for me stuff, but at the end of the day, she's happier and healthier, and our relationship's better.
Absolutely.
It's funny because that transition when it happened, there started to be kind of a disconnect, but then we grew back stronger, because we started to open up and talk about why. But that wouldn't have happened without a community of people where I could talk it through, right? With the community of people, like he has the loved ones meeting and the loved ones group, right? He was able to work through that and process that, and without those people, that would have been a big hurdle for us and probably maybe damaging. I know it would have been, because that's the biggest part of our relationship. But now, so there was this process where I would say, no, that's not going to work, or this, I am not comfortable with that, or whatever. And he'd still try to push the issue, and then that started to slow down, and that started to slow down. And then now it's, I rarely say no, but I will say, we just had a situation with the 4th of July. I told you this, Ed. 4th of July to me is my biggest trigger.
Yes.
Biggest trigger. It's a big time. And 4th of July in our community is like Christmas. Like it's celebrated all year, all week. It's a big deal. It's the biggest celebration. There's so many people. Everything's going on. Well, I will tell you, that's honestly, I would spend from when I was 11 and 13 years old, starting a week of that's where my addiction really kicked off. Right. And my abuse. And so this year, he was like, yeah, I got so-and-so coming out. We're going to meet them, and they're staying in a hotel and all this stuff. And I'm like, and in my side, I'm like, I didn't really want to participate in that. I don't know how to act in that environment yet. I don't know how to go out and hang out with a bunch of people that are drinking under a band shell. And I don't know if I'm comfortable. Right. And so we had to have this discussion of, we need to talk about that first next time, instead of making assumptions that we're just on the same page. And then we were able to work through this as a couple, and I grew, and so did he, because I did go and participate, but we had, things set up in place. I talked to you first, Ed. I I talked to there was so many things that had been set up to make it successful. And if it wasn't successful, he was on the same page as me to be supportive and just bail.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And so we had an exit strategy, and it worked.
Yeah. And that's
and healthy boundaries.
Healthy boundaries. That's it. I want to shift gears here a little bit, guys. So we got a couple minutes left, and I know Bambi, you have some questions, but Kathy, Camden Kathy brought up a great point here. Take care, Chris. Good seeing you again. Humility as our guide to move out of ourselves towards others and towards God, right?
Yes, absolutely.
That is so true, man. Like the minute we get out of ourselves and we help other people, how humbling is that? Number one, how fulfilling is that? Number two, and also, I like to tell stories, right? And because they relate to things. So I was driving home from a camping trip, a winter camping trip, and I had some pain going on, and I talked to my sponsor, and he said, Eddie, he goes, you've been talking about this goddamn pain for the last 3 weeks. He said, what are you doing to help somebody else? I'm thinking to myself, what the hell are you talking about? I'm telling you about a pain I had. He goes, get out of self. Get out of self, and that pain will fucking go away. He goes, call your son, call your grandson, call somebody, work with another addict or alcoholic. And I, you know what? He was right. I had to humble myself and say, he was 100% right. Absolutely. And that pain went away. I've
had major career life changes over the past couple of weeks, right? Yeah. And so has Chris. And I've had without this step and having such a close connection with God, I wouldn't have understood that this is just a plan for me. I'm just accepting where my 2 feet are planted.
Yeah.
We had God has a plan again last night. I was like, to Chris, just let God in, right? Yeah. Let other people in. There's a plan for you. You have to let this be a close relationship and rely on God.
Absolutely. Bambi, I know you have a couple questions that you wanted to talk about from a newcomer's perspective. Let's get into a couple of those questions before we go here.
Again, as a newcomer, give me like examples of how in which you humbled yourself and God either removed a shortcoming or empowered you to deal with it. How, just an example, because that's what newbies want, tell us like how that impacted you. How did you do it?
Tiff, you want to answer that?
Sure. So, this was really difficult for me at first because I never had a relationship with God. Didn't understand it. Didn't know what I was going to do. So the first time when I actually got into a situation where I said something out loud. I said out loud, God, take this anxiety away from me. I don't need to feel like this anymore. Can you please help me? It was really hard for me to say that out loud. I was driving and it was gone. It was just gone. I just had this different level of acceptance. It wasn't some a big bang theory that happened or something, nothing, the clouds didn't part, nothing happened. But I felt better and I started to do that and trust more and more. And at first I was embarrassed, but I worked through that. Again, that embarrassment of that's another character defect, right? Self-aware all the time. Don't hang your ass out, Tiffany, right? Don't let anybody catch you doing anything wrong.
Trust issues.
Yeah, trust issues.
Yeah.
And the more I started doing it, the easier it got.
Yeah.
It's been just liberating.
Yeah.
Liberating to just accept that there's a plan. There's a plan. I know I'm a good person. I know I am. And things are going to come through for me. They have. Yeah. And every time they do now, beyond my wildest dreams.
Yeah. Yeah. And I have to agree with you on incredible. That. You just have to accept it and just, kind of get over it, move through it, because, here's the thing, guys. Everybody has problems in life. Everybody has ups and downs, and life isn't, we're not living on, the roller coaster ride. I don't even care if you have $1 billion in the bank, you're a celebrity. They have major problems too. They just got more money and then they got more exposure. We should be blessed not to have that. Everybody has anxiety. Definitely. People have anxiety. People have depression. There's a lot of shit that goes on. But if we can get out of ourselves, and humble ourselves, that'll take a lot of it away. It really will.
I love Step what Kathy 7. Just wrote in here too. It's about letting others help you who can help.
Yes.
And that was a big thing too. Letting others help me was a big thing. But it's so liberating.
Yeah.
So liberating.
But how hard was it at first to have somebody help you? Like asking somebody for help.
Way.
Right?
No, I've been running my own show my whole life. What are you doing? What?
Yeah, I know.
Absolutely not. I my biggest statement was, I've made it this far on my own. I'll make it farther.
Make it,
right?
yes.
Who are you to tell me?
Yeah, exactly.
Said that before.
And that still creeps up once in a while, but now that, whereas my self-awareness, my hyper self-awareness used to be at a critical standpoint, a very negative. Now my self-awareness has turned to a positive. I'm using that as an asset now where, okay, I could do that. I'm aware of myself now. Let's see where we can turn this dial just a little bit. Yeah. But you have to take the leap. And it's like, it's very uncomfortable in the beginning, very uncomfortable, but you just do it.
Oh yeah. Yeah. You just got to do it. Now it's a good question, Bambi. What's your view on that question?
Well, I love, what Kathy said, reaching out to others, connecting with others again. But I think when you can use, like when you said, when you're feeling like one of your shortcomings are coming up, reaching out, doing something else for someone else, really kind of makes you not focus on that anymore. Yeah. It takes away that obsession or that,
Here's a trick that I use when I'm like either in anxiety, I shouldn't say an anxiety attack, but in my head or thinking differently or whatever. If I walk into a store, mainly Starbucks or whatever, I'll get in line and I will buy the person behind me whatever they're doing, whatever they're getting, right? And sometimes I have to hold my breath like, oh my, because Starbucks can get expensive. I had some $40, $50 bills in Starbucks by doing this, but I don't like to announce that I do this, but this is just one way of humbling ourselves, of really making ourselves
at Starbucks.
Yeah, everybody's trying to go find me so they can buy him something.
Yeah, but everybody follow Ed around.
Yeah, exactly. But here's the point, guys. You don't tell people that you do this, okay? And that's the humbling part of it.
Yes,
the only reason I'm
bringing
only reason I'm bringing this up is just this is some of the stuff that gets me out of myself. So that guy behind me or that woman behind me, when you say you're going to go pay for their stuff, they have the biggest smile on their face. Or I can pay. I know you can pay it, but this is what I'm doing. I want to just, blah, 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 whatever. And damn well it made them happy, because if somebody bought me a $4 cup of coffee, I'd be fucking happy too. Number one. Number two, it makes me happy when I walk away that I didn't.
Well, that used to make me feel uncomfortable too, accepting things from others.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. Even just like gifts, compliments, whatever. Yeah. Now I can humbly say thank you. Yes. Because I don't want to take that away from them either. Exactly. It makes them feel good. And if they want to, I shouldn't be making assumptions that they can't, or it's, whatever. I agree. There's a lot of things. I don't want to take their part in this away either from them. Exactly. Bambi, one more question, because we're gonna have to go. This is actually going good. I have a date with my wife at the beach today. So as you guys can see, I have my bathing suit on here too. So I'm ready to go. I'm ready to jump in the Jeep and go. So, but I don't want to kind of break the mojo that we're having here, because this is a good episode. So Bambi, what other give us another question.
How do you handle, and this is a big one for me, when you have asked God to remove these shortcomings, how do you wait until he removes them? How do you deal with that span in between? Because it's on his time, not ours. So you may ask today, but you may have carried that character defect for another year or 5 years, or it's on God's time. How do you wait?
So sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly. The promises, right? That's that. I think that is. I use sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly through everything, right? Every part of my life. But here's the thing: when we humbly ask him to remove these shortcomings, if we're sincere about it and we put the work into it, they can be removed immediately. Right? They can be moved immediately, is what I find, because then we don't have to stay up here in our fucking brain and our noggin thinking that this is it. I'll call my sponsor. If it's something's really bothering me, if I get on my knees in the morning, ask God to remove my shortcomings. And if that doesn't work, I'll call my sponsor and he'll get me out of self. And if I do service work, if I get on a podcast, if I get on a meeting, I'll be honest with you, Bambi, it usually goes away immediately. Yes. When you wait,
there's relief.
Oh, there's relief. Yeah, that's actually perfect. There was relief.
Perfect.
Yeah. But here's the thing.
Go ahead.
Here's the thing. If you don't see relief, and I like that word. Thanks, Tiff. If you don't see relief immediately, you're not working your program. You just can't get on your knees and ask for relieving my shortcomings.
Well,
you just can't do it.
One tool.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Like you just said, what was programmed into me was number one. I pray to God. That's the first thing when I'm asking, right? And if I don't get instant gratification, which is always what I want, right? But I remember, I'm not using him as a pinch hitter anymore, right? I'm just trusting. So I ask God, I have to trust the others that's been written, that's worked for everybody else, right? And sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly. So I have to remember that it's worked. There's proof. It's working. There's proof. It's happened before me for years, right? But then call my sponsor. My sponsor's like, get on a meeting, right? I'm on a meeting, right? And then if that doesn't, and share on the meeting if it's necessary, and if you don't share on the meeting or can, and it's still not gone, or you haven't had some relief, you help somebody else.
Wow, all get out of self. Isn't that what you're talking about, Tiff?
Bam, 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 right in the row, right? But I had to learn that because I didn't have patience. That was another shortcoming. I love instant gratification. That's why the drugs, right?
Of course.
Big reason. Yeah. So number one, pray. Trust that it's happened for you, but pray. Call your sponsor. Get on a meeting, right? Or go to a meeting. Speak at the meeting if you need to, or share at the meeting if you need to. And then if that doesn't work, you better start helping somebody else. Get out of yourself. Start writing a letter to somebody. Do whatever. Action.
Yeah, that's what it is. Action. If you expect to sit on your couch and think your shortcomings are going to go away by you saying your prayer, by watching, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. Go do something for somebody. Go say hello. Walk down the street. If you want to feel good about yourself, take a walk around your neighborhood and say hello to everyone you pass by. Okay. Yep. And don't be upset if they don't say or hello or wave back, because it's going to happen sometimes. You're there to help. You're there to keep your side of the streets clean and say hello. And I guarantee you, after you say hello to 5 people, and he's always said this before, and nobody ever came back on his challenge. After you say hello to 5 people, you're going to feel fucking great. I guarantee it. Let me know if you do it, because I guarantee you're going to feel great. Yes, absolutely. So
smile and say hello.
Absolutely.
It's actually a cognitive behavioral therapy technique to use your smiling and saying hello to someone. and it
Mhm.
will make you feel better. Laughing,
Absolutely,
even if you
yeah.
don't have anything to laugh at, laughter will do it. There's
Oh,
crazy
yeah.
things. I've
Yeah.
never had to use all 5 of them for one thing. I can tell you that, Bambi.
Yeah.
Not all
Yeah.
5.
Right.
I've gotten
Absolutely.
relief and from almost immediately
Absolutely.
within the
guys,
first getting to the meeting.
Yeah. Well, guys, it's beach time. I hate to break up this party that we're having here, but it's beach time for me. And I like to thank you two ladies for a wonderful show. This completely turned out a different kind of way than I ever expected. And it's just crazy how things go. And, you know, in my mind, what you know, we're going to talk about step 7. I had everything planned, written down exactly what I'm going to say, and it went completely different, right? That's how life is. That's completely how life is. And it's crazy. But, you know, I appreciate this. I hope the listeners have gotten a lot out of this. And I believe next week we're going to talk about Tradition 7. Is that correct, Tiff?
Yes, Tradition 7.
Tradition 7. Anybody know what it is? Because I don't.
I don't have it in front of me. I'd botch
Well,
it up if I started saying it.
Tradition 7. Let me look it up. Hold on. 10, 9. Come on. Where's 7? Here it is. Tradition 7 is every AA group ought to be fully self-supporting, declining
through their own contributions.
outside.
Duh.
Yes. So
That's
that is
exactly what
it.
we are.
Yeah.
See, I wanted
Their own
to say that,
contributions.
but I thought I'm too new. I'm wrong. You know,
Never-
my first thought
You're
is
not
I'm
wrong.
Never
not
doubt
wrong.
yourself. Never doubt
Take a chance,
yourself.
Bambi. Take a chance.
God. So guys, on closing, anybody have any closing words on step 7? Because this will be the last show we're doing on step 7.
No, but this is
Good.
a step working in progress all the time for the rest of our
all the
life.
time.
And it's life changing. So don't skimp on it.
Nope, not at all. And
Take it serious.
get on your knees, pray, and then put it in action. Get out of self. I think that's the best thing to do. So, guys, great show. Ladies, great show, I should say. Tiff, thank you for joining us from that car show. It looks great background there. We love it. And next week we'll talk about Tradition 7, and stay sober, everybody. All right, guys. Thank you. We got who's this? Anne Marie says, I've been catching up on your YouTube and I love you guys. Also, my maiden name is Chancho. Hey, Anne Marie.
wow.
Where are you from, Anne Marie? That's not like a normal last name. That's not like
No.
Smith or Jones, right?
No.
I had that from
Yeah.
somebody else just recently too. Somebody else said that day. You're welcome, Camden Kathy. We love you. Thank you for showing up. Did you get your book yet, Kath? Kathy won the life recovery workbook we were giving away last week. So Staten Island, Brooklyn, Staten Island. Okay. All right. I don't know. I'm sure related somehow. Chantra's not a common name.
Stick with us, Anne.
No, it certainly isn't.
Yeah. Anne-Marie, email me or get me on Facebook. We could talk a little bit. Ed Chancho or help
your
at
phone
friends.
number.
Yeah, get my phone number, 215-694-1994. I give it out to the world anyway. So give me a call, text me, or email me at help@friendsinrecoverypodcast.com, and I'll get back to you. So
Thank you guys for everything.
thank you.
Yes,
Thank you
thank
guys.
you.
Tiff, don't go away. I'm going to stop
I'll
this
stay on
live
for 1
streaming.
minute.
Yep. And we have to finish that. And thank you, Facebook Live. We'll see you guys next week. Thank you for being there for us.
This concludes this episode of Friends in Recovery, the Addiction Recovery Podcast. Follow us on Facebook for past shows and updates, and enjoy free access to twice daily support meetings. Friends in Recovery, the Addiction Recovery Podcast, is available on Facebook, Podbean, iTunes, and YouTube 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.